Yes, my people, welcome back to another episode of Where's My Podcast. Today, we're joined by another special guest. As you can see, we're not in our studio. Our guest has allowed us into her working space, and I'm really excited for this conversation. Today, we're joined by Wuzzy.
Yes, hi.
Founder of the brand By.Wuzzy. Wuzzy, thank you for having us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because obviously I wouldn't say it's been a long time coming, but obviously we recorded something like a year ago.
Yeah.
We couldn't get it out for reasons not your fault, our fault. But
Yeah.
remember that day, I was like, nah, I need you on the podcast.
Yeah.
I kept saying that because I feel like, I don't know, man, there was just more that you needed to say and that I felt people would want to hear and it would be helpful to hear. Do you know what I'm saying?
But I think everything happens for a reason though, because I know a lot more now. Things that I knew then was just like, obviously just like learning.
Yep.
Just as the industry, like being in the industry. But I know way more now. There's still so much more. But
so much, yeah. And I can tell that obviously we've been speaking off camera and whatnot, and just your countenance and that, it's like it seems more confident now. Like you built up real experience, you know what I mean? So it's been good witnessing your journey and whatnot. But at the beginning of every episode, I basically say why you, the guest, are in the chair. So I'm gonna make your head swell a bit.
Okay.
I know you hate that. But honestly, Wuzzy, aside from the fact that I just think your pieces are amazing.
Yeah.
I love how much of you is in your brand. Like from Rash showing me your brand last year, I've been able to like witness your growth in real time. So I've seen so many of the things you've achieved, like being in the Cosmopolitan 50th issue, obviously the Vogue stuff. There's just so many things that obviously I went through your Instagram and I saw, was it the features bit? So I was just tapping through.
My gosh,
I was just tapping through and I saw all the stuff you've done. And I just love how much you've achieved in such a short space of time. And I think it would be great for our listeners to kind of hear how you've done that, your journey, learn more about you. So that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you want to know?
What I do want to know is obviously every episode you always start straight from the beginning. So like, where would you say your fashion journey kind of started? And I'm really intrigued to hear how you internalize this question though.
How my fashion journey started or how I started my brand? I mean, okay, my mum's a tailor, my grandmother's a tailor, and my great-grandmother, she's a weaver. Well, she was obviously a weaver fabric. So I think it's always been, I think naturally it was going to come to this, like, to be honest. But my mum, when she was tailoring, she was just tailoring out of her, like, our house. And she looked so stressed every day. Like, oh my gosh. So it put me off it. I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. And I was in secondary school then. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do this, whatever. But my mum forced me. Like, my mum
Your mum forced you to learn how to...
Yeah, she forced me to learn how to sew. Like, I didn't even know how to sew. Like, I wasn't bothered. Like, she forced me to learn how to sew. She forced me to watch her make patterns. She would force me to pin up the patterns ready, like, everything. And to the point where, like, my dad would be sitting on the sofa and I would be like watching the TV as I'm doing it, and he'd be like, focus. Like they both wanted me to like do this, I guess. And that's just kind of how it started. And my mum even like, she was like, okay, you're not gonna go to sixth form, you're gonna go to college. So I went to like a college for like, my course was fashion, like everything. And then I went to uni for fashion, and it just happened like that, like kind of forced, but then I ended up like loving it. Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
So at that point where, first of all, why did your mum kind of force you down that route? Is it because of that lineage of great grandmother?
I don't think so. I don't know. Like, I actually don't know. I don't think I always liked fashion, yes, but did I know I was gonna go down that route necessarily? Not really. I was so young, so it's like I was doing whatever, just being free. But I don't know why she made me.
Do you ever think
never
that
asked her, actually?
It's maybe you should.
Yeah, I probably should.
I was gonna say,
never asked her that.
Do you ever feel like maybe your mum saw it in you?
Maybe.
Because obviously our mums know us better than anyone, really, innit?
Yeah.
So maybe she saw like little traits that you had, maybe like attention to detail, or when you're drawing stuff, she can clock like, wow, this girl's got the eye for aesthetics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe she saw something in me at a really young age. Because my mum isn't the type of person to, like, in any other aspect, she's very liberal. Like, she doesn't force me to do anything. Like, whatever I'm comfortable doing, she's very liberal. So it's like, for some reason, that was something that she was like, no,
you have to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously you told me you have a sister as well.
Yes.
So did she force your sister to
No.
do it?
And my sister's older than me. My sister's in tech.
Okay.
So similar.
Different.
My dad, he's not in fashion at all, but he knows a lot about fashion. Like
Obviously, yeah.
a lot. Like way more than me and my mum.
Yeah.
Like he is sick. And yeah. So but he doesn't do fashion. Like his career is not fashion, anything like that. But I don't know where I'm going.
No,
I forgot.
it's cool. It's
I forgot
cool.
where I was going.
But no, I find things like that so interesting, and I love asking that question because I feel like when you keep going back and back and back, you can always attribute the beginning of like fashion to something rather than like the day you started your brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's why it's
true.
interesting that you said, "Oh, when I started the brand," but you decided to go all the way from the beginning.
Yeah.
Which I like. And so you spoke about going to like a fashion college. Was this like what, like fashion sixth form or something like that?
No. It was I went to, I think it's called Morley's College now, but it was called Kensington Chelsea College.
Oh, that's where we're from.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and I did a fashion course there, but they do all types of things, photography, all types. And I did a specific course there to do with fashion design. And that was for 2 years, I think. Yeah.
And what was that like?
It was great. Like it was good. I made like 2 of my best friends there. And it was a fun time. But at the time you think, oh my gosh, my life's ending. Like, you know what I mean? And then you go to uni, it's like, oh, my life's actually really
ending.
Yeah.
So where did you study and what course did you study?
What?
At uni, yeah.
I went to London College of Fashion and I studied women's wear and technology. And that was interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I haven't spoken to anyone that's done that course. Obviously, I know people that have done women's wear, but the tech side of it.
Yeah, I think it was women's wear.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just women's wear.
So you could like, if I said to you, what was like the tech parts of your course like?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know at all. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
So obviously you spent 3 years.
Yeah.
At London College of Fashion.
Yeah.
And what was that like? Did you enjoy it? Did you?
Not really. I didn't enjoy it. It was a very like interesting environment to be in because I felt like the people at my course were very like, there's nothing wrong with being avant-garde and like being super expressive with their designs, but I never worked that way. So I feel like my tutors weren't interested in what I was doing because I'm very like, I make clothes for that you can actually wear rather than more of the super couture side of things, which is fun too. But I just never designed that way, and I just don't think my tutors were interested in me. I probably shouldn't say that.
No, that's honest though.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
Don't worry, we can discuss
yeah.
Stuff. But that's interesting you say that though, because why do you think, not to say that when you go to particular types of institutions, people tend to be more like that?
Yeah.
Like, why do you think you're more on the very much, I want people to be able to like wear my stuff?
Because that's what I like to do. I never thought about anything else. And maybe because also my mum, like when she was tailoring, she would make clothes that people could, I mean, it was mainly for like parties and stuff like that, but still like you could wear them and feel comfortable and, you know, and that's just the way I'm not that. I don't,
What would you say were the
wearable fashion is more my thing.
More your thing, and I can tell by what you do. In terms of what you learnt from fashion college, and the reason I always ask this is because, not to say there's a debate, but obviously we speak to different designers all the time, and some of them are like, yeah, I think it's important to go to fashion school, and some of them are like, you can kind of learn everything off of here and there. But like, how would you say, how important was that fashion education in terms of like your journey? Because obviously you went to like fashion college and then like fashion university as well, so you've done a good bit of studying.
Yeah. I do think it is important. I'm not going to lie. Like, some people just fall into it. Some people just have the knack for it. But I do think it's important because I do think, here's the thing. I think you need to know something. I think people that do like have brands, when you don't know the process, it's easy for you to get, can I swear?
Yeah.
It's easy for you to get fucked over, I think. Like, for example, like even dealing with manufacturers and stuff like that, if you don't know the process of how someone makes something, they could tell you, oh, it takes this amount of time or this, and you would just think it does because you don't know. So I think that's why. So maybe not necessarily you have to go to uni, because I don't think uni's for everybody, but just do your research before you think, oh, let me just
Let me
start a
start
fashion
something.
brand.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
You learn, you would, yeah.
Yeah, because it's interesting you say that, like the way you kind of phrased it in terms of, oh, let me just start a fashion brand, because I feel like with the way hustle culture is right now,
Yeah.
a lot of people just see it as not necessarily a get rich quick scheme, but like just a easy way to kind
Oh
of
my
make money. But it's like
gosh,
that
that's
couldn't be
not-
further from the truth.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So when I say that, do you get what I mean when I say that? Like,
Yeah. It's not.
yeah,
It's, well, for fashion, no. It's not a get rich quick. Forget it. Okay. I mean, you can get rich or you can be very successful. I mean, it depends. However you see
Define
success.
success, yeah.
Exactly. So you can be successful, definitely. You can make money, but it takes money to make money. So it's not going to be get rich quick. You can get rich, but it won't be quick.
Therefore comes over time and
Yeah,
whatnot.
definitely.
And so cool. We've spoken about college, yeah?
Yeah.
So this is where the conversation gets a bit more juicy and whatnot.
Okay.
So what year did you graduate?
2019.
2019. And then By.Wuzzy was born beginning of 2020?
March 2020. Like literally, I think lockdown.
Okay. So
Was that March?
yeah.
2020?
Wait, when did COVID start? COVID started in 2020, not 2019, right?
I think it was like trickling into 2019,
Okay, yeah.
and then 2020 was like boom,
Boom,
COVID.
yeah, actually happened. So you was actually able to have a proper graduation throughout the gown and all that
Yes.
stuff. Yes.
I was, sorry.
Yeah.
I was.
So yeah, what did that feel like? Because obviously,
What, graduating?
going to a great institution like
Yeah.
London College of Fashion and whatnot.
Yeah.
But also, I asked that question because prior you was talking about having kind of been forced down that
Yeah.
route.
Yeah.
So like, was it like, oh my god, I'm done, or wow, I love fashion now?
No, it was like, oh my God, I'm done.
Oh, serious?
And I didn't want to do fashion after.
No way.
Yeah, so I took like a year break. I was like working at Mango, but even then I was like, Mango, I was working at Mango in my final year of uni. So I also wanted to like quit Mango as well. Like I just wanted to detach for the whole thing. So I like quit Mango and I just didn't want to do anything like fashion or anything like that for a good year. I wasn't doing anything. Like my parents didn't really pressure me either, which is thank God. So it's like, and then COVID happened, and then I remembered what I loved about it. And it just went from there.
What do you think it was about that time that caused that? Was it just the fact that you had more time to just think?
Yeah, I could just think. Like, I'm that type of person. I need time to think. Do you know what I mean? And really think things through. Sometimes I'm a bit of an overthinker.
Okay.
I've gotten better though, but I just needed to think and think about what I really wanted to do and how I wanted to get into it. Spoke to my family a lot because both my parents are business owners, so I really spoke to them, and yeah, it was. And then I fell into like, okay, if I'm gonna do this is how I'm gonna do it. But even that plan didn't go to plan.
Sorry, Wuzzy, let me cut you down, backtrack a bit, yeah? Because you know how you mentioned you remembered what you loved about it?
Yeah.
Like, what did you love about it? Because obviously I'm just thinking Wuzzy kind of got forced, thanks to your mum,
Yes.
down the fashion route.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what did you realise that you actually loved about it?
I think I actually do. I ended up loving the final result. Like I love doing research, and then I like the process. I really do. Like I love making patterns. I love sewing now. I love just the process and the having the idea and then being able to bring it to life because I know how to do every step of it. It's easy for me.
So even after uni, like knowing that you could do all of this stuff, you were still thinking not I'm gonna waste this talent and this skill, but like you was ready to just pack it in and be like, oh, I'm not gonna do none of this.
Yeah,
that is mad.
Because it became not fun anymore. Like uni, it was very draining, and because I didn't get a lot of support at uni, it was just like from my tutors, because I just don't think they believed in what I was doing or anything like that. It just made me just
kind of switch off.
Clearly, there's no hope for me here because they're your authority figure. Do you know what I mean? So you're looking at them like, if they don't see anything in me,
then why would I see anything?
in myself? So it just turned into that.
So when did you kind of get that self-belief to be like, you know what, I'm going to start my own thing?
It just happened really naturally. So it was just a thing where what happened? I became a shopaholic during like like the pandemic. I don't know what happened. I just became a shopaholic. No, I became a shopaholic whilst I was no longer like at uni. I was just buying shit. It's like weird. And then all of a sudden I just realized, no, I gotta stop. Like I've got to stop buying stuff. Anything I do buy though is just gonna be secondhand. Or like I'll just go into thrift shops and stuff like that. And then there was just, so I stopped shopping. And then one day I was like, oh shit, I need a pair of jeans. And I was like, oh, Levi's. And then I checked, I was like, oh, let me just get some vintage Levi's, whatever. Because like that was like what I was seeing. And then I bought them and I was buying them like different like styles. And then one day I was like, oh, let me just like make whatever. And I just made it like the bodice.
No, but Wuzzy, do you know do you know what I find so funny? Yeah.
What?
You're just like, and then I just thought, let me just, you know what I mean? Like, let me just make something. Like,
Yeah.
why do you reckon you felt like that at that point? Do you know what I'm saying? After having gone all that time without like, without doing this stuff, like what was it about that period that made you say, you know what?
My mind was just quiet. It was just like my mind was, like I said, I was thinking like I was not thinking I had deadlines. Like it wasn't. I'm not that type of person. Like it was too much. Like uni, I don't know whether uni is for me. Even though I did it, I don't think it was for me. Like I'm not that type of person. That's just not the way. Everyone needs deadlines, but like that's just not the way I worked in that type of way. I should, you know. And when I had the chance to not have that anymore and just think and be at peace a little bit more, I was able to just, what do I want to do?
Finally became your choice.
Exactly.
After all them years.
Exactly. And then it was just like, even like my mum even forcing me to do it, like it finally became something that I actually liked to do rather than everybody else. Do you know what I mean?
So yeah, so you had the Levi's, and then so what was the first piece you made?
It was the bodice.
Serious?
Yeah, and then I put it on Instagram like randomly, and it just happened from there. It kind of just blew up, kind of thing, and I was like, oh, okay. Like people were like asking me to make it, like orders and stuff. And I was like, oh shit, how am I gonna do this? Okay, should I do it just through DM? And then someone was like, nah, make a website. And I was like, fuck, okay, I gotta make a website. And then I was like, oh, but how do I like purchase? Like I didn't know anything. So then it just happened really organically, really naturally. Like, and then all of a sudden I have a website, all of a sudden I have an Instagram, and all of a sudden I'm getting orders, and it was just like.
What made you put it on Instagram, one? And was it like just your personal Instagram account at this point?
No, I made an Instagram account. I made an Instagram account and I had a completely different logo as well. I was just like,
I remember the logo.
Even looking back, I was like,
it wasn't that bad. But this one is cold.
Yeah,
though.
it's
the one
better.
you got now is cold.
And like, I don't know. I don't even remember. It's like such a blur. It just happened. It was very organic. That's why I don't have a
set like story to tell me sort of thing.
It would just happen really naturally.
So okay, cool. So you put the bodice on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's
I was wearing it. Like it was just like, oh, let me just take pictures of me in it.
Yeah. And like people are hitting you up. How did that feel when people are messaging you about it? Were you confused? Because I'm sure because you didn't expect that.
No, I was very confused. I was like, okay, and it was just like it became more than one person, like. And it became like an everyday thing. So I was like, what's going on here? Kind of thing. And yeah.
It just went from there.
Like I fell into this, I swear. I did not know
that
I would even get into denim. I didn't even know that I'd be into sustainability. Like even when I was doing it, it was just because, it wasn't because, oh, like the sustainable industry was like in fashion was kind of bubbling. It wasn't because of that. It was just because I was no longer wearing new clothes and it was just, it's all been my decision kind of thing.
So when was the point where you were like, you know what, like I need a brand? Like, because obviously you started the Instagram page and you just put a picture on there.
Yeah.
And you didn't expect it to blow up or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But I suppose when you're starting to get interest and then you're starting to quote unquote get orders, that's when you kind of start telling yourself, you know, like I need a brand.
I need to make this into like a brand.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I think when it wasn't just orders that I was getting, it was more people wanted to, the people in the industry were interested in what I was doing, and I was like, oh, okay, I have to register my business and stuff, because when I was getting orders, my business wasn't registered,
Yeah.
and I was just doing it like, you know. And then when I got, you know, from a company, I was like a huge company, I was like, okay, shit, I need to register my business.
Yeah, this has to be serious now.
Yeah.
So like during that, this is so funny because it's just like I don't know where to go, because kind of with your journey, as we've spoken before, and you said things like you were just like winging it at that point.
Yeah.
Like, so even
Still
during this
am.
conversation, I'm thinking, what do I kind of latch onto? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, so when the press sort of stuff started happening,
Yeah.
and at that point you were like, okay, cool, like this has to be serious now.
Yeah.
What sort of things did you start doing?
Again, I just started thinking about, okay, like I've been saying, you know, you have to spend money to make money. So, okay, I have to put a business plan together, like a somewhat of a light business plan.
Did you know how to do that?
No, I just looked on Google, and then I spoke to my dad. Like I said, like he has his own business, so I spoke to my dad about it, and you know, just did something light. Do you know what I mean? And I presented it to him, and he was like, "Okay, so let's do it," kind of thing.
Oh, so then your dad like gave you some money to get orders. Oh, sick. So your dad was like your first investor kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Sick. It's better your family than anyone else, boy.
For sure. I'm not getting a loan now.
Yeah. Someone you can trust
Don't
as
get a
well,
loan
innit?
out. Sorry,
Someone you
it's
can
just
trust.
too expensive right now.
Yeah.
To get a loan out. It's
So
too much.
done the business plan and that. And the reason I keep mentioning branding with you, Wuzzy, is because your brand seems really you.
Yeah.
Of course, it's called By.Wuzzy, so
Yeah,
it is you.
yeah.
But like when I know you in person, and
Yeah.
like when I read your captions and just the way you speak, it's very much you. But it's like
Sometimes I think, is it too?
that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
I never think that.
Okay.
But it's like, do you need to make that distinction between Wuzzy and the brand?
I know. Sometimes I do think that. I don't know. I think it's easy for people to even like DM me because they feel like they're
talking to you.
Talking to me, because they are. Like, I'm not the type of person that has a brand and people think, like, do you know what? Yeah, it's weird because when people like email me and stuff like that, they're surprised it's just me. They're always like, "Oh my gosh, I thought you had a whole team." I'm like, "No, it's just me here." Do you know what I mean? So it's good, I guess, the way I'm presenting my brand, like really like professionally, kind of in a sense. But at the same time, there is that like individual, like it is me kind of thing. And I do like that people, even when they DM me, they do know they're talking to me. Do you know what I mean? Until things change. Do you know what I mean?
So whilst we're speaking about brand, like I feel like you've managed to build up like a community. Do you know what I mean? When I scroll through your Instagram and like I see you celebrating your achievements, and then you got people commenting like, "Well done, Wuzzy," and all of this stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's people that genuinely care about the Wuzzy brand. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what do you think that the By.Wuzzy brand stands for? What does it mean? It's a difficult question, isn't it? Because it's you. Do you know what I'm saying?
I actually don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what it stands for. I think my main thing right now is I'm learning literally as I go along. So for me, it is, I'm very into circular fashion. I'm very into sustainability, very, very much. And I'm learning so much. And like, I think that's the main thing about my brand, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense, the
It's just,
sustainable aspect of it.
yeah. And I think also that I'm very engaging. Like, I put out, I'm very transparent. I want people to know what's going on all the time. I'm not fake about it. Like even recently I did the buy now, pay later thing. That was something that I was not interested in before.
Yeah.
And
why not? Is it because when you spoke about when you had your like shopping addiction?
Yes, that's why. That's why, because it's something that I dealt with my own self, like the whole Klarna thing. Luckily, I was able to pay it back. Do you know what I mean? Some people aren't. And when I did research on like the buy now, pay later, like options and stuff like that before, like this was like over a year ago. And it was during the time of COVID and everything like that, and people were spending money that they didn't have, obviously. And when you're young, you're just not thinking like straight, do you know what I mean, financially. And people fell into like really tough times and stuff like that. So it's just something that I was like, you know what, no, if you can't afford what I'm making, it's okay. Like just wait, and then you will. Or I'll put out, like at the time that I was putting out, because I had people were very interested. Like people really wanted to buy my things, and I was like, okay, I'll just do discounts. It's okay. Like that's fine.
So
I'll
that's
put
how
out
you
15%.
mitigate that.
Yeah, like it's okay. Like, and people really wanted my stuff, but you know, and it's only up until recently, like literally the other day, that I've introduced that again. Like, and I was open about it on my Instagram stories, and I got a lot of like positive reaction from it. People do want it as an option because they do want to be able to purchase your stuff and afford it. Do you know what I mean? And if they can split it 4 ways, because I use ClearPay, if they can split it 4 ways, then if that's better for them, and it's an option, it's up to you. But just don't get yourself into financial, like any financial.
I think it's good that you care so much about your customers that you're almost trying to protect them.
Yeah.
But at in the same breath, obviously, it's good that you're also giving them that element of control, because at the end of the day, it's their life. Do you know what I mean? I think one thing you could do is just naturally you being transparent about the process is good enough. But like, if that means you may do a little post about how to protect yourself from falling into the dangers,
definitely.
Do you know what I'm saying? So there's always ways you can kind of work around it.
I'm young. I know how it is. Do you know what I mean? And times are difficult, and people still want to be able to live their best life and buy what they want. But at the same time, it does come with a literal cost. So I do care, because I know how it feels.
You've been there, man. I've been
100%.
there. Trust me, I'm still there. But with the sustainability stuff, why is it so important to you?
Oh my gosh, like because I don't think people get it. Like, I don't actually think people understand how much, like, I mean, it's changing a lot, like the sustainable aspect in fashion. It definitely is. But the impact that it has, like the fashion industry in particular, that has on the environment is crazy. And if I can just do my own little part, then
and you're going to do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Do you know what I mean?
What made you deep it when you were going through your shopaholic phase? Like, because you mentioned, obviously we're backtracking a bit, but you mentioned like there was one day you were just like, you know, I can't keep doing this. Like, was it the sustainability side of it, or was it like the cost of it?
The cost of it, and also how much, like the things that you would buy and then they wouldn't even last. So you're just like, what?
Why am I doing this?
And it just didn't make any sense to me. And I was just like, F it. Anything I buy, I'm just going to buy secondhand. And I've never been a secondhand person. I've never been a thrift type of person. But I was just like, okay, why not? Let me just see. And it's just something that I just like love doing now, like thrifting and stuff like that. So yeah, what was the question again?
Cool. Oh no, that you answered the question. Oh, okay. That was enough. But I'm gonna bring it back to the bodice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was obviously like the quote unquote like start of the By.Wuzzy brand, if we can say that.
Definitely.
What do you think it was about the bodice that made it so popular? Why do you think that picture kind of took off?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I think it's a weird one because I never put it out there that I used a pair of jeans to make it. I do think it's because of like I'm using traditional sewing methods in a very non-traditional way. So I think, but at the same time, people didn't know that. So that's what I was going to
say. Yeah, I was going to say, do you reckon people would have been able to pick up on that?
No,
because unless you're like a designer yourself, like how would you? Do you know what I mean?
I don't think people would pick up on it if you don't know, obviously. And also I never put it out there. I think maybe just people just like the design. I think it's just that simple.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I think people just liked the design and what I was doing, and it was denim maybe. Yeah. And denim was like, you know, it wasn't really that popping at the time. Like, or like you weren't seeing people wearing that at the time, but now like
obviously because the Y2K stuff and all of that. So this was, would you say this was a bit before?
Yeah.
When the Y2K stuff started coming back. Yeah. So I find that mad interesting because I think back to other conversations I've had on the podcast, and like often the people I speak to can attribute things to like one piece or whatever. Like let's say not necessarily the beginning, but like almost like another stage of their like brand journey to like a particular piece. Then when I ask them to put a finger on why that piece, it's always difficult for them to say.
You never know. You actually never know why people would like something. You never know when you put something out. Like there are certain things, like I made this pleated skirt out of a pair of jeans, and I put it out there. It wasn't gonna be something. It was just something I did, and I just put it out there, and it went crazy. And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I was so confused because and I was like, "Shit, I got to put this out now." Shit, and like, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? And at first, it was literally just a sample, random thing.
Mm,
It wasn't even sewn together like that.
mm,
Like,
mm,
it
mm.
was just something I put out. People loved it. And I was like, what the fuck? You just never know.
And do you know what? Like, I can imagine it being a double-edged sword, because obviously you're grateful that
Yes.
people like this piece, but in the same breath, you kind of want to know why, so that you can kind of replicate what they like about it in different ways. So, like, for example, when it came to the bodice,
Yeah.
where did you kind of go after that? Because you can't just only sell like bodices
No, exactly.
forever.
I just went into more like just other corset designs and stuff like that. So I realized that people like corsets, bodices. They like that structural kind of thing. Yeah, sorry, but yeah,
Where did you get the inspiration for that bodice as well?
I
Because
don't know.
yeah, because obviously I'm not a girl. I don't wear bodices or whatnot.
Okay.
Is that how you pronounce the plural version of it? Bodices, or is it like
Sure.
bodice?
No, bodices.
Bodices.
Yeah.
So obviously, yeah, I don't see that stuff. But prior to seeing yours, I hadn't really seen
Yeah.
anything like that.
I have no idea because I didn't see it anywhere either.
Yeah.
It was just like, I don't know. I actually don't know. It was just random. It was actually a random decision on a random day. And I randomly wore it and I randomly put it on Instagram and it randomly just happened like that.
Yeah, no, it's got to be God or something.
Yeah,
mate, because
for real.
these things, when you can't
God.
put a finger on what causes these things, it's like it's got to be a higher power or something.
100%.
Because deep how far you've come from. Because that was basically like nearly 3 years ago now. Damn. And
Almost 3 years ago.
A lot has happened between that time. You've done a lot of learning. You've experienced a lot. You've achieved a lot. And now, yeah, you're still here doing everything you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Almost stopped. Almost gave up a couple of times, but yeah.
When?
I almost gave up in. I was gonna say, I almost gave up in last year, end of last year.
End of last year.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's speak about that. How can you say you was gonna say Obviously, I have to ask.
Yeah. Sorry.
But yeah. So what was going on? Because obviously this conversation has been quite vanilla so far, in the sense that it's been very much, and then this happened and that happened. It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
So from my angle, I'm thinking, what could have happened that would make you want to stop when it's almost as if everything's going so well?
Exactly. Like on the outside, everything was going so well. And it was like, even my business, like, everything was going well. It just, it's within you. Do you know what I mean? You're just getting burnt out. And I think I was saying yes a lot to things, because when you get like opportunities, you're not gonna say no. So you're saying yes, and I just I stretched myself way too thin, and I think I just got burnt out, and it's kind of a similar situation that when I was at uni, I just wanted to stop. I just needed to think, and I think when I had the opportunity to do that and I decided to stop, I even like left my studio and everything. It was just like, okay, let me change my mindset, change the way I like moving forward. If I'm going to do this, I have to change my mindset. The way I structure my business has to be completely different, so that I can be in the right mind frame for when these opportunities do come, and I'm more selective and picking the right things and stuff like that.
It's so interesting that last time we linked up was literally basically around that time, really. Because I remember you ended up like traveling like a week after that or something like that.
It was quick.
That's
I moved out my
crazy.
studio, I left.
Yeah, that's mad deep. And now we're filming again.
I know.
And you're in a completely different place. That's crazy. Do you know what, Wuzzy? Thanks for talking about that. And I want to delve into that a bit more. What I find so interesting is that I feel like burnout exists within every industry in terms of no matter what you work as, you can eventually get to the point where you're exhausted in it.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to the creative industry, we don't necessarily talk about that much, because what you're doing is meant to be your passion. So it's almost as if, how can you burn out from doing something you love?
I know, but it happens.
It happens, especially when it transcends from just your passion into a business. So yeah, so in terms of that sort of journey, like, would you say that played into why you may have been feeling a certain way, and like, how did you kind of manage that change?
What do you mean?
Like, because as we've been talking, it's like, okay, cool. I put up a picture on Instagram.
Yeah.
People loved it. It becomes a brand. People buy it. So now I've got a business now.
Yeah.
So it's no longer just Wuzzy deciding to make a bodice.
Yeah.
It's like now Wuzzy has to sell bodices. Do you know what I'm saying? So how did you kind of deal with that transition?
Again, because it just happened all organically. It wasn't like something that I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do and this. I think dealing with it was just doing it. It wasn't like so much of a thoughtful thing. Now it's a thoughtful thing. Everything that I do is very thought about. But before it was just like going with it, and it got so hectic that I hired someone last year, and that even was like an extra load that I didn't even realize.
As in being so having to be a manager, basically.
Yes, and I don't know if I'm a great manager. I mean, I'll be better now because I'm in the right mind frame. But at the time, and her name's Daisy. She's amazing. She's actually amazing. But she was amazing. It's not her. It was me. Like, I don't feel like I was the best, like, boss in terms of like, not to her. We had a great working relationship. I just think having that extra load of being a boss, I didn't realize anything. I was just learning, man. It was just so much going on. Like, yeah.
I honestly, Wuzzy, I love how transparent you are about all this shit, because you're not pretending to have all the answers, because in reality, 3 years into your journey, how could you have all the answers?
Exactly. I
Do
don't
you
know
what I'm
anything. I swear, I don't. I'm just winging it.
What you're talking about in terms of hiring someone, like, I've heard lots of people say things like that, but they've never really told me in detail what that kind of means, like having to pay someone, or when you're a manager. I think to like my line manager at work, for example, she's more than just my manager. Like, man, speak to her about life. So now it's almost like you're a therapist as well as a boss. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, what was that? I don't want to say line manager, but what was that? What are the main things you learned from that experience of hiring someone?
I think looking back at it, I think it was actually great. Like, it was great having someone help you and be there for you. Honestly, it was. I felt like I kind of paid her to be my friend. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have to be honest. Like, and I love her. Seriously, we have a great friendship, Daisy. I love you. But like, it is just like I just didn't. And also I didn't want that like boss and like employee dynamic. I like things to be. I don't like to feel like I'm better than anyone. Yeah, or like higher than anyone. So it was just like. But looking back at it now, I think I should have been more structured. Like, the day should have been a little bit more structured. I should have had more. It makes for a better working environment as well, rather than someone maybe at times sitting down and feeling like,
what do I do?
What do I do? Or, and then there'll be times where I'd be like really, really stressed, and she'd be feeling like, Wuzzy, tell me, is there something I can do? And I'd be like, no, it's okay, it's fine. But really inside, there's so much I have to do, but I don't want to put that on her. But then it's like, I'm hiring her, so why wouldn't I do that? But now it's gonna be different.
Yeah. So what do you think it is about now that you can kind of face those challenges and overcome them? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna be scary, to be fair, because I'm still not the type of person where I feel like making someone feel like under me. Not that. I'm still not that type of person, but I just feel like maybe I would be more just. I don't know what the word is. I'll just be more authoritative a little bit more. Is that the word?
Yeah. Authoritative.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's the word.
I think that's the word. So I'll be more like that. But at the same time, still a friendly working environment. Because the thing is, I don't want anyone to be bad vibes. Like, I mean, anybody I hire, I want to be sick vibes, like fun. We can have fun, but still get our work done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You've got to find that balance, innit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and balance is something that's difficult to find in anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm happy that you also kind of give yourself grace as well.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel like you need to have all the answers, or you need to know how to be a quote unquote manager.
I used to feel like that.
Seriously?
I used to feel like I'm not doing anything unless I want to know everything. But I actually realized that if you don't start, you'll never know. Like, that's literally like my quote for like last year. Just start. Literally, just start.
Did you put that on your Instagram as well?
I did something with someone. I should find it or something.
I definitely saw you. It was in there. I read the caption. It just said, "Just start." I think that might have been the first line.
Yeah, just start it. Like, because when people do ask me, "Oh, would it just start?" Trust me. You don't know until you start. You don't have all the answers. You'll never know, and you'll go as you go along. It's actually more fun because as you go along and you're doing your business, and you're like something that you didn't know before, you learned it, and then when the opportunity comes around again, it's like,
Oh yeah.
yes, I know what to
this
do now. Yeah, it feels good. It does feel
So it's
good.
fulfilling.
Yeah, it does. When you know something, and then it's like, yes, I can actively, that thing that I've learned, I can like actively do what I've learned. It's
Yeah.
like sick. It's the best feeling ever, because you feel like, okay, I'm on the next step. Like, cool.
That's how you not to say that's how you track your growth or development, because you're
Yeah.
not doing it consciously, but like those are little signifiers of, oh wow, like I'm growing in this. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm gonna hold that thought. Going back to when we were talking about the burnout stuff. How did you deal with that? Because it's one thing being quote unquote burnout, but it's another thing taking time away and coming back, and coming back to what you need to do. Do you know what I'm saying? So what did you do?
What, during the stage of
Just managing that whole process really of going through the burnout and then wherever you went or whatever you did and then coming back. Do you know what I mean?
So I went to Nigeria for like 3 months, and again, it was just thinking time, taking time to myself, like working out, like just really focusing on me and focusing on how I could be a better person, or like a better in a better place when I go back to, because I knew I was gonna go back eventually. I didn't have a set time or day, but I knew I was gonna start again. But I needed to be in a better place mentally, and because like my family, they're so supportive. I don't think I could literally. I don't think I could do it without my family. Like, they are so supportive of me. Again, like I said, because they both have businesses, their own businesses. It's like both my parents, so they understand it, and they both of their businesses. It's not like it's been like an easy journey. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. So, and like both of their businesses are like very unique in their journey, so they understood, you know. So yeah.
So how were you able to switch off? And the reason I asked that question is because I feel like with not just with designers or people within fashion, but when you have your own sort of, I like to put it in like the startup bracket, because I think when it comes to the creative industries as well, like sometimes we forget that when you're starting something, it really as a startup, we often associate like startup with like tech stuff.
Yeah.
But when you have a startup, there's always something. You face a new challenge every single day in it.
Yes.
And because there's always things going on, sometimes it feels, I'm preaching to the choir right now, because sometimes with me, like I find it impossible to switch off from like this. So from where's my TV, like Monday to Friday when I'm at work, I'm constantly thinking about, I have to send this, I have to do that, I have to ask Rash or Gable to do this, you know what I'm saying? And then on the weekends, still, like, but then you were able to kind of go away and really find Wuzzy time.
Yes,
Do you know what
yes.
I'm saying? Like, how were you able to do that?
I just did it. Because if I didn't,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just had to. It's easy for me to switch off. Yeah. And I love it. It's really easy for me to switch off.
I'm happy that you can do it. You need to teach me.
Okay. It's just stop thinking. Just stop thinking about it. I'm telling you, like.
But you know, it's like you got so many things, and
Yeah,
I think the
I
main
do.
issue is that you kind of put like almost like a not necessarily a deadline, but like a timeline, that an
Yeah.
imaginary timeline that
Yeah,
you're working
I know.
towards. So you feel like when you do take time off, it pushes you back on that.
I think it's no, I don't feel it like that, because do you know what it is? I think because I don't, like I said, because I'm winging it and I don't necessarily have a plan. It's easy for me to switch off, because when I'm off, it's not like I know where I'm going. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's not like I don't even have set like goals necessarily, like in terms of like, I'm just living my life. So it's like it is easy for me to switch off.
Hey, Wuzzy, this is like one of the most wholesome conversations we've had on this podcast so far, yeah. Because it's like you're going against a lot of the things that we're told to kind of do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? In the sense that like we're told to set goals and we're told to set these targets and we're told to not work our asses off, because I know you work hard as well.
Yeah.
But you get what I mean, like the whole idea of hustle culture.
I mean,
You know
I
what I'm
do
saying?
have general goals, of course. Like, I have goals. Everyone has goals. But in terms of like my business, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Just
I
go
don't
with
know.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. No. I have people that I want to work with and stuff like that. Yes. And those things will come, but when they come, they'll come when they come. I'm not going to like force anything. Like, it'll come when they come. I just have to work carry on working, pray, and all happen, all align.
And it's so refreshing to hear this, because I was watching a Ralph Lauren interview the other day, and he was literally saying, bruv, like, I was just doing it and I didn't know where I was going. Do you know what I'm saying? And now look, Ralph Lauren is,
Ralph Lauren.
you get, I mean, that need I say more? Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you don't have to have everything figured out already. Just give
And
yourself grace.
I do like hustle culture, yes,
Elements of it, innit?
elements of it, but I think I'm really blessed in the sense where, yes, like I'm a very hardworking person. When I have my mind to set something, I'm focused on that, definitely. But because I don't have that, like, I don't know how to explain it without sounding a bit. I just feel like because my family are very supportive, I don't have that, like, if, like, for example, when I got burnt out, it wasn't a thing of fuck it, you gotta carry on.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
because
like,
I ain't
no,
got somewhere to live or da. Yeah.
it's okay. Take your time, breathe, pray, focus. That's okay. Be steady. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why I love hustle culture, yes, but at the same time, you don't want to be mentally fucked, because I shouldn't say that. Is that not politically correct? But you shouldn't be. You have to focus on your mental health. You have to, because if you don't, it could lead down to somewhere else. So you hustle, yes, but be steady at the same time.
Protect this as well.
100%.
Yeah, because it affects
It does.
everything else.
It
literally.
does.
Yeah.
You won't be successful if your mind's not right. That's what I think.
Big facts. So what was it like coming back then?
What, from Nigeria?
Yeah, like, and then back to By.Wuzzy, because I could imagine you would have had a ton of emails. So I was like, oh my god, it's either fuck or it's
weird.
game time.
While I was in
You get what I
Nigeria,
mean?
I was getting emails, right? And I would answer them, yes, but I would be very clear that I wasn't in the country. It would be something when I get back. So I had like a date for when I got back, kind of like my ticket was actually just like open. And I just said, okay, this is when I want to go back. And when I had that date in mind when I was going to go back, that's when it was just like, okay, these emails that I was getting, I would say, okay, I can start on on this date. Do you know what I mean? And it was nice, because it was nice coming back to London and really getting back to it, but in my own pace. I didn't get my studio straight away. So I just got this studio in October. So,
Yeah, really recently. I remember I see it on your Instagram. Yeah,
So,
love your studio, but I like the art.
Thank you, by Shy Studios. But I was working out of my auntie's house because I live in a flat, but my auntie has a bigger place, and she doesn't live there. She lives in Nigeria. It's just like a house that she has, and she let me work out of there, and yeah, it was really nice. It was like I was going to work, like leaving my house, going to work. Then when times were like, okay, I have to like get this done, I could sleep there. Like it was great. I'm not gonna lie, it was nice.
So after that period of going to Nigeria and taking your mind off things, what would you say were like the overall benefits of that? And then post that experience, have you seen like a different Wuzzy, and like how was that like kind of reflected in terms of what the brand's achieved and things like that?
I'm a way more, like, my mind is clearer, and that helps with my business, because like I was saying to you, like, off camera, like, I'm very structured with my emails and my time. I don't say yes to everything unless I need to say yes to something. Do you know what I mean? I'm very not calculated, but I think more about what aligns more with my brand. Like I said, just don't say yes to everything. I'm just very clear. I'm more clear on what I want and what I want my brand to represent and everything.
I'm happy you brought that control in terms of knowing when to say yes and no. I'm happy you brought that up again, because I wanted to ask that, like, how do you discern what's the right opportunities and what opportunities aren't, as you know what I mean? Because you mentioned like aligning it, like, does it align with like what you want for the brand and stuff like that? So yeah, like how do you choose? You know what I mean? How do you know?
It's okay. How do I know? So I'll get the email, whatever, and then first thing I do, everyone's got an Instagram, so I just check their Instagram. Do you know what I mean? And then if we have like mutuals on Instagram, that's how I know, okay, so this person's done something with that person. Okay, cool. And I know that person. Not know them, but I know that brand. So it's like, okay, cool. And like me and that other brand, we follow each other. So it's like, okay. And then that's kind of how I decipher it. And it depends what they want from me. If it's something that it's mainly like stylists and stuff like that. But it's like, if I want to work with that stylist, then I will. I have a set amount of like, I have a set list of stylists that I will 100% always say yes to because they've always been good to me. I like how they style things and stuff like that. But yeah.
No, that's a good answer.
Okay, cool.
That's a good answer. Speaking of stylists as well, obviously I've been through, I've researched you and whatnot, and I've seen you've worked with different stylists like Alize. How do you pronounce her surname?
I don't know.
But Alize.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've seen
She's
you done a bit of work
amazing.
for her. Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic at what she does.
Anything like her and her team, email me, but I say yes.
Yeah, because when you mentioned the set list of stylists that you'll say yes to, I knew she would be on there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I could tell she's a good person.
Yeah, she's a good person.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask, like, so how important have like stylists like Alize, for example, been to like the By.Wuzzy brand and your journey?
You know what? She's just so supportive. There was one time I just sent her a bodice, like, and she put it on her, she wore it and she put it on her Instagram. And it was just like, wow, like that's just like, she doesn't have to do that. Do you know what I mean? And she was, I don't know. I don't think she realizes how much even those little things, mean a lot. And stylists like her too, mean a lot. Someone like her and other stylists too have meant a lot to my brand, and they've always kept me in the loop of things that it also, not everything that they would approach me with and that I would say yes to, because maybe it doesn't mesh well, but a lot of the time I do say yes, to be fair to her on her team.
And how much I don't know if co-signs is the right word, but like how much of those sort of like, I don't know, what word can I use? Those connections more so. How much does that add to the brand? Like those connections.
It does
with
mean
that
a
profile.
lot.
Yeah,
it does. I'm not gonna lie. It means a lot. But I don't know how much. But it means something. Because when people see that somebody like that wears your brand or supports your brand or has used it for a shoot or something like that, it's like, oh, okay. If they like it, then okay, that's a good thing.
because it's like they're tastemakers to a certain degree. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So if someone, because I see By.Jammer in one of your bodices. Bodices.
It was her stylist. It wasn't her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her
cool,
stylist. Cool. Like someone like her stylist. Anytime she says anything, I say yeah. Even if it's not for By.Jammer, it's for somebody else. I say yeah.
I just wanted to like bring up that sort of stuff because I speak to a few people, and it's like, not to say, obviously I've spoken to a few designers and I've spoken to other stylists and what as well, and sometimes I get the essence that stylists now sometimes feel like people don't necessarily see as much value in them as they did before. And the reason I mention that is because obviously back then, when it was just like magazines and shit, like if your stuff was to be seen, you really had to have those sort of connections. Whereas now, with the growth of the digital era or whatnot, you can literally just put pictures out yourself. And
that is true. And a lot of the time, to be fair, when I do get an email from a stylist in particular, and then they send me a mood board, and then they're like, okay, so just like give me what you think would work out. I'm like, okay, but I'm not the stylist. Like, you're supposed to ask me what you want, and then I'll do it like that. Do you know what I mean? So I do see there are some people that are maybe, I don't know about that side of things necessarily, like being a stylist, but there are some people that are lazy in a sense where it's just like, I don't know.
I know what you mean. Don't worry. I do know what you mean.
So maybe there is that aspect of it, but then there are stylists that know exactly what they want and what they're doing. Like, I mean, Melissa Wardrobe. I mean, oh my gosh, she's like my queen. So.
Yeah, she's too sick. But I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent, yeah. But throughout the conversation, and just from knowing you as well, like your countenance and the things you say, yeah, you're somebody that is grateful. You know what I'm saying? You have gratitude, you know what I mean? Like, you're thankful of everything you've achieved and whatnot. And I think that's a good way for me to kind of bring in the things I've seen that you've achieved that I've maybe be like, you know what, Wuzzy's doing their thing. Like, so obviously the whole ASOS stuff, being on ASOS Marketplace, I think the one that stood out to me most was the Cosmopolitan one.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my
being on like
gosh.
their what was it, their 50th issue,
Yeah.
one of 10 other designers.
Yes. Oh my
That's
gosh. And
mad.
the
Like,
other designs that were there, I was like, oh.
yeah,
And then,
because was Kai.
oh my gosh, yeah, Kai
Yeah,
Collective. She
like,
was a part of it. I was like, oh my gosh, like what?
so
Like,
do you know? Like, I'm happy I brought this up because, like, how does that actually feel? Because obviously, throughout this conversation, was you've been like, I've been winging it, I've been winging it, I've been winging
yeah.
it. So, like, when things like that happen, like, are you taken aback?
Um, I've learned lately when I got that email from that stylist, even she's another one I always say yes to. She's been so good to me. Like, even when I get emails like that, I'm like, okay, because I got that last year, and that was during the time where my mind was just like, so it was just like, oh my gosh, like whatever. Okay, cool, yes, send it, da da da. And then you get the email that, oh, it's out or whatever. And I don't know where I was. I think I was at home. And when I got that email that, oh, it's out now, whatever, I ran to Sainsbury's
To
and I
buy
bought
it.
like 5 copies. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my, whoops. I was like, oh my God. Oh my gosh. And I rang my mom straight away. She was like, you gotta buy me a copy. Da, da, da. And then I called my dad and he was like, yeah, go get. And I was like, oh wow, that's the first time I've properly taken in anything I've ever done. Like that Cosmopolitan issue, because I was actually meant to be in the issue before that. It was the issue that um Khloe Kardashian was on the cover or something. And that they wanted because she has Good American, like the denim brand that she has, and she was actually going to wear my bodice for the cover of that, but it didn't work out. And I think everything happens for a reason, because I think that 50th issue is a little bit more iconic. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like, that was the first time I think ever anything that I've done, I was like, oh my gosh, like I could properly take it in. Anything else that I've done, it's just been like, okay, on to the next.
Yeah, on to the next. Yeah.
Even though it's been amazing, like every things that I could even thinking about now, like things that I've done and stuff like that, and asked to be a part of, it's like, wow, that's really cool. But yeah, I don't really take them in, and I want to do that more.
Why do you? So I've got two questions coming from that. So why is it that achievement that made you finally be like, wow, like you went and bought the 5 copies? And then the other question is, why do you kind of struggle to sit back and be like, wow, like I'm proud of this achievement? Do you know what I mean?
I think I think the reason why I went to go get that copy was just because I was at home. Maybe if I was at my studio, I wouldn't have.
Serious?
Yeah, maybe because I was at home and I was just like, I wasn't doing anything physically. So maybe that's the reason why. And I remember when I got the copy, I was in Sainsbury's. And before I even opened it, I ripped it up because it was in a box or whatever, like whatever. And I ripped it up and I showed the shopkeeper. I was like, that's my brand. Look. And she was like, oh, well done, darling. I was like, yeah. I couldn't believe it. Like literally. And I FaceTimed my mum. She wasn't answering. But and on the way, like walking home, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so I think maybe because I was at home and I got that email at that time and everything, maybe that's why I fully took it in. Like I said, if I was at my studio, maybe not. But
Yeah, the second question was kind of, why do you struggle to sit back and?
I think my parents, really taught me it's really important to be grateful and be humble. And I think that's why. I mean, I'm proud of the things that I've achieved and stuff like that, but it's always important. It could go away, and I don't know whether I should look at it like that, because I do take it in a sense where it's like, okay, wow, but like I don't know. It's just really important to be humble and just like, it's okay, thank God, and that's it. Move on. Not. I don't know how to explain it.
You have such an energy that I like being around. It's very warm. And I remember last time, I don't know, it would have sounded weird for me to say it, but I think I remember saying to you, I feel like you've been raised so well.
Yeah, my parents, they just like me and my sister. If you like, I don't know how to explain it. Like my parents, even though like they're African, they're Nigerian, they are very just like not liberal people. They support everything that I like do.
I remember you saying they were born here, innit?
Yeah, they were born here. My dad was born in Tottenham. My mum was born in Brixton. But they both left when they were 7 with their parents and stuff. They went back to Nigeria. but they came back in their early 20s, and they've been here since, until obviously my parents moved back. But like, they're just very, my I've learned a lot from my dad. Like, my mum, I've obviously, like, she raised me, do you know what I mean? When my dad was in Nigeria, whatever. But like, my dad, in terms of like the way he is, he's such a humble person, and the truth is, he doesn't have to be. He's achieved a lot, and I think he is just such a, any person that I talk to that talks to me about him, he's such a good guy. Like, he's a good man. Like, my dad's the type of person, if he has £10, he'll give you £11. He's that type of person. He is such a good, well-rounded person, and he's also raised me like, the way you have to respect people. Period. Respect is the biggest thing. If you don't, you have to respect people, and then they'll give you respect. You know. So when you get disrespected, it's the biggest thing that could happen to you. So
because you're not out here disrespecting people.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think he's always, it doesn't matter if people have a less job than you, less than you. It doesn't actually matter. None of that matters. You just have to be respectful to anybody you meet, because they remember that. They'll remember that, and they'll take that on.
I can gauge that from you.
Oh, good.
Mad respectful and hospitable as well. Obviously, bought us the muffins. No. But Rash, is it still recording? Oh, so we can carry on talking than that, yeah? Oh no, we will carry on talking, but I just wanted to make sure, innit? Yeah. And you know what was, yeah? If we keep all that stuff in about the way it's, yeah, so obviously speaking about your father and you just having that level of respect, I think that's part of the reason why your brand is doing well. Do you know what I mean? Because as I said, so much of you is in your brand. Like, when I read through the captions and stuff, I can feel that energy. It's just so warm.
Oh, good.
So it's like, obviously it's one thing the piece is being amazing, but it's a whole other thing when it's like the brand is you, which is like wholesomeness, you know what I'm saying, and respect. And so big up you, man, and
thank you,
and keep going with all of that. Yeah, keep going.
Don't worry,
make sure you don't.
Never.
I'll be angry if you do.
It will never change. Like, you can't change it.
But to carry on what we were saying, like, so obviously we were speaking about the achievements and whatnot. So you spoke about the cosmopolitan thing and whatnot. How did the ASOS stuff come about?
Okay, I'll talk about this and you can keep this part in, right?
Yeah.
So I did something with this woman called Amy Levinton. She has this brand called Denim Dudes and Denim Dudettes, and she wanted me to be a part of this panel or whatever. But it was for this panel. She does this panel for industry people, like a regular person. It's like industry people want to watch into this panel. It's like a trend thing. And Topshop, before they were bought by ASOS, emailed me, asked me to do a collaboration. That was in 2020. I had like 800 followers. It was like,
you're thinking, how did they even find me?
It was through this thing. Like, essentially, I don't even know why Amy Levinton, or Echo Amy, but I don't know why Amy even wanted me to be on this panel. Like, I had just started my brand. She found me randomly. And I was like, I had just started my brand. I was like the youngest person on this, but like, it was like nothing. It was like me and two other girls, and they were like verified. Like, I didn't even know like why. It was just favor of God kind of thing. You had a bit of like
imposter syndrome kind of thing when you was there.
It was a good conversation, but like, I'm surprised she really wanted me to do it, and I was like, oh my gosh, me, like. Anyway, so so Topshop found me through that, because only industry people were watching that. It was for that industry people in particular, and they just took a liking to what I was saying, what I was doing, and then they just asked me. And then when they went into administration, the collaboration kind of ended, but I always kept in touch, because they gave me their personal emails and said, anything you want, just keep in touch with me, blah, blah. And then they got bought by ASOS, and then
that's how things happened.
Yeah.
No,
we'll talk about it more
in detail. Yeah,
later, maybe next when. Yeah.
Do you know what, Wuzzy? Yeah, as I'm gonna start like rounding off the conversation. Yeah, I'm happy. The question I'm about to ask, I'm happy I'm gonna ask it to you, because I think you'll have a lot to say. Don't worry, the way I'm setting it up, you might think it's gonna be controversial or something. But It's not controversial at all, but obviously we've spoken about your journey and you've been very clear about the fact that you've been learning as you've been going along.
Yeah.
So like, what would you say are like the main sort of learnings you can take? And I'm going to give you as long as you want to like to talk about this. Like, what have been the main things you've learned? Like, I want you to think hard.
The main things I've learned that this is a business, like this is a business. It's not all like, it's fun when you want to be creative and stuff like that, but when shit starts getting real, this is a business. You need to have your ducks in a row. I'm just really grateful and blessed in a sense where I can go to my parents who have their own businesses and they can give me advice. They could like, I have the resources for like lawyers and stuff like that. If I didn't, I don't know, I'd just be signing whatever. Do you know what I mean? And that's why it's important to be transparent, especially in the position that I'm in, because there are people that don't have the resources and they could just learn from like what I'm saying. And I'm only just over 2 years in to my brand, and there's still so much for me to learn, but there's so much I've learned so quickly. I think that just the main thing, that just remember, this is a business. It's fun. You can have a lot of fun and it's great. But like I said, when shit starts getting real, you have to have your ducks in a row, because it's so easy to get fucked over in this industry, man. So easy.
And so how do you kind of protect yourself from things like that?
I'm not gonna lie, I always check if AliExpress done me dirty. Yeah, I always check if Shein has done me dirty. I haven't seen anything yet, thank God, but I feel like it's just coming. Do you know what I mean? I think it's probably coming. How do I protect myself? I don't know. I'm just like blessed that it hasn't happened. Anything crazy hasn't happened yet. I don't
Thank
know.
God.
Honestly, thank God.
So what would you say is like the best sort of business advice that your parents gave you?
Ooh, oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. Hang on, because my dad told me something kind of recently. I don't know how to explain it. It was just a conversation, like a flyway conversation we were having, but just be focused. I think that's the main thing that he's told me. Be focused. Okay, Nigeria is very different from the UK. So his advice for business in Nigeria in particular, but you could go anywhere.
Apply to anywhere. Business is business.
Yeah, 100%. I think you always have to be 10 steps ahead.
10. Well, Gabs, you agree with that one, yeah? I was gonna say I get all my business advice from this guy.
Oh my God. You have to be 10 steps ahead.
Because what does that mean? What do you mean, Wuzzy? Why 10 steps? Like,
you
just
have to
watch out for it.
Yeah. And I have my wall up anyway. Like it'll be difficult. It will happen one day and I'll have to experience it, but it'll be difficult for me to get fucked over because I am so like, my wall is so up. So you can't say something to me. I'll be like, no. It's just like, okay, tell me more, give me more information. Do you know what I mean? But just be 10 steps ahead. But he said, like in Nigeria, not only have to be 10 steps ahead, you have to have the eyes at the back of your head. Do you know what I mean? It's tough. It's the jungle in Nigeria. Do you know what I mean? So, but he has very much hustle mentality. Yeah, but I think his thing is, I hustle so you don't have to, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's what you want as a parent.
That's what you want, yeah, of course. Facts, big facts. I was gonna say, as you were talking, Wuzzy, you mentioned that's why you're so transparent, because people can learn things through you. Yeah. Not everyone's like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying they're worse or better for not being like that, but like, why do you want to help?
Why not? Like, what do you mean? Like, why not? Because I was the type of person that wanted to know everything before I started something, but then I realized you wouldn't until you do. I understand why people do feel like that, because I'm not gonna lie, like before starting my brand, I think maybe I've always wanted to do something myself, but I was scared about what other people thought. And I was very worried, like, oh gosh, even in the beginning, like I know people were like, what the hell is she doing? Like, come on, you know. And I think it is just important for me to just be open about everything that I'm doing, not just business, but just like be open about the fact that just forget what everybody else is saying. Do you know what I mean? Try, and I guess it's easy for me to say, but it's not. Like, I wish someone told me forget whatever people are saying. Just do what you want to do. Do you? Do you know what I mean? And once you do you, like, and not think about what other people are doing, focus on your focus. It will all align, it will all work out. Trust me.
This conversation's been so like almost like Zen, kind of like therapy type conversation, like sitting on the sofas and that. Like I like it still, because I think it's interesting, because obviously this is a fashion podcast and we've spoken about fashion.
Yeah.
It's definitely been more lifey.
Yeah.
And I like that, because I think a lot of the things you're saying, you can apply it to fashion anyway. So for example, you just mentioned focus on yourself.
Yes.
So when up and coming designers are designing, it's easy to look at this person that's blowing and think, let me copy what they're doing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Never works.
Never works.
I got someone told me something. Oh, no, my mum. My mum told me, if you see, you'll never do something like the original. So just forget it. Like, you think you can copy what you've seen that someone else has done that they've done originally, and you think it's going to be
better?
Never. It will never be better. So do you, like, don't worry about what other people are doing. You know, my mum has, I remember my mum telling me that it will never be like the original. So you be your own original, you know, be yourself.
I like that a lot. And that's definitely, I can, obviously, because we've done a few episodes now, like, there's synergies between a lot of the conversations that we have. And I remember Kira, a stylist, she said the same thing.
She's
like,
great.
She's sick, innit?
Yeah.
Lovely woman. And she was like, her mum was like to her, why on earth would you want to be like anyone else?
Literally.
Like, just like, literally, why would you want to be like anyone else? Just be yourself.
It
like,
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know
I mean,
so
it's easy for us to say, though, because when you're young and you're impressionable and you just
want to fit in.
You want to fit in, and I was like that too. I'm not gonna lie.
We've all been like that.
Yeah, you just want to fit in, and when you do something different, people don't get it. And it's not about what people think, but until things change,
until money starts coming in, that's when people be like, "Oh, I always knew you had it in you and all this stuff." But you get it, like it, whatever. But you know, it was just to round off and like bring it back to fashion. Like, obviously you've achieved a lot, and I'm happy for you, proud of you as well. As I said, it's been lovely witnessing your journey. Like, what sort of things can we expect from the By.Wuzzy brand?
I don't know. Like, okay, what do you mean, fashion wise?
Yeah, like, fashion wise, like
just more designs, collabs, collabs. I'm coming out with a podcast.
No way!
Did I tell you this?
Mentioned, no, you did last time.
But it's gonna be like a business and cultural studies podcast.
Yeah, sick.
It's called Sexy Sustainability.
Yeah.
But that's gonna happen next year. But it's gonna be with a project that I'm doing. I have to get the funding first, so let's see. Hopefully, I've I don't know. Pray to God, fingers crossed. You know what I mean? I've applied for it, so I should find out next month. And then,
are you gonna host it?
Yeah,
sick.
And I've already got people like that would guest it and stuff like that, like that are in the industry, and and I want to do like a panel, like there's so many things. So.
That's sick. Yeah, you're gonna be really good at that, you know.
Think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll be good at it. I can tell. You'll be good at it. So yeah, you know what, Wuzzy? I think this is a good way to round off. First of all, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
For bringing us here. We finally made this happen. It was great. I've said it so many times. It was a wholesome, lovely. I can't wait to listen to this back. I think it's gonna like motivate me and just make me feel good. You know what I mean?
Good,
like,
please.
You got that energy still.
Thank you.
But obviously we finish every episode the same. We basically say, you've given loads of advice throughout the episode anyway, but like if you give like one piece of advice to like the next generation of like fashion designers, people that wanting to get into fashion, what would it be?
Just start, man. Just go for it. Seriously, I promise you, if you just start it, it will all come into place. Like, I promise. I wish someone told me that. I wish. And I'm telling you, please.
Just start.
Yes.
Just start. You can't say it to them. All right. What a conversation. Wuzzy, where can they find you if you just say it into the...
My Instagram at By.Wuzzy and my website www.By.Wuzzy.co.uk, ASOS Marketplace, By.Wuzzy.
Obviously with us, you know how to find us, WMTV_LDN Instagram. I'm sure Rash and Gabriel will put the pop-ups and that. You can tell I'm tired, innit? But yeah, thank you for listening, everyone. As I always say, keep it locked. If you ever want to take in future episodes on the go, you can also find us on Apple Music and Spotify. When you get there, please, if you don't mind, leave us a 5-star review and whatnot. It will definitely help. And yeah, as I always say, keep it locked.